Today we're going to talk more about soft body armor. So we're going to go in a little more detail about what it is, how it's made, and some of the pros and cons of soft body armor. This is a super common type of body armor people use. It's very popular, has a lot of great use cases. You commonly see it with law enforcement officers. Their vests are made out of soft body armor. So we'll dive a little bit more into that and go into more detail on it. So soft body armor, it gets its name because it's just that, it's soft. So you see it's soft, it's flexible, in comparison to hard armor, which is hard. Surprise, surprise there. So you're not gonna have any flexibility. This is hard. It's one solid piece of armor. I don't think we need to get any real life examples of hard versus soft. Probably have enough experience with both to understand the difference there. Now, the reason, that there's a difference between hard and soft, it's really dependent upon the materials used to make the armor and also the process that goes into making that. Now, your soft armor is going to be made from para-aramid fiber, the most commonly known one being Kevlar, or a ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene, or UHMWPE material. The first one we can talk about is Kevlar. So here's a few different Kevlar materials that we use with our soft armor. Kevlar is a para-aramid fiber, and Kevlar is actually just the brand name used by DuPont. So there are other companies that make similar products to Kevlar from a para-aramid fiber. DuPont was just the first to come out with it, the most well-known. They have a very strong reputation and have a very proven track record for making great ballistic products. But like I said, there are a lot of other companies that make it, and there are a lot of types of Kevlar, tons of different types. So you see here, we have some woven, some other types. Now, even within woven material, it can vary, just like your woven shirts or any other type of woven material. You're gonna have varying thicknesses on those. You're gonna have higher or lower denier counts or the tightness of your weave. So there's a lot of different materials within the Kevlar space. Also, not all Kevlar is designed for body armor. So there's a lot of different applications for Kevlar. One very common one is in the safety materials. So because of the properties, it's cut resistant, it's heat resistant, so it has a lot of great applications there as well. Basically, you can't just go buy any Kevlar off the shelf and expect it to stop a bullet. That being said, with enough layers stacked together, it probably will, but it's not all designed to do so. So the first Kevlar we can take a look at here is this is a woven material. You can clearly see the weave in this. It's a very heavy woven material. It's thick, it's a high denier count, and this one has great stopping capabilities. So 9 layers of this material right here will stop your .44 Magnum. It'll meet your level 3A requirements. So it's very efficient at stopping around. Now, it's not as great on the back face deformation. So due to the makeup of the material and the way it is more vulnerable to back face deformation. Another type of material here is from Kevlar is called unidirectional or UD Kevlar. Now, the way this is made is a little different. It's not woven. The way you do it is they take the Kevlar threads or fibers, they lay them parallel with each other. Then they take a second layer. So that's where the name comes from, unidirectional. All of them are in one direction. They then take another layer and stack them at a 0-90-degree pattern on top of that. And then a resin is put on it, and it binds those fibers together to make one solid sheet like what we have here. Now this material has a lot of great properties. So it is, when these stacked together, you get a bunch of these layers stacked together, you're gonna have something that's a little more solid, a little more rigid than your woven material. Also with the resin in this, it's much better at dissipating that energy and mitigating your back face deformation. So that's one great thing about this. Also with the resin binding those fibers together, it is much more stab resistant than your woven material. And there's also some that are kind of in between there. Like this one here is the third type we use. It's almost in between. If you can see it, that it's not, it doesn't have a weave pattern in it, but it's also not like the unidirectional material. You can see the fibers in here, but this one does use a resin in it as well to help bind these fibers together. So there's a lot of variations on your Kevlar materials and the performance and the way they're made. It'll have different performance benefits to them. Some are better with back face, some are better stopping a bullet. It really depends on the material. Now, the other material commonly used is your UHMWPE. Now, for soft armor, your UHMWPE is going to be a UD material. You can see it's very similar to the Kevlar material here. If you fill them, they fill the same too, and it's made the same way. So in essence, the structure here is multiple layers of fiber or thread that are bound together by resin to make one solid sheet. The difference here obviously is that's made from Kevlar. This one is made from UHMWPE fibers. So that's going to be your difference there. Now this is becoming really popular because strength, pound for pound, this is actually stronger than Kevlar, and it has a lot of great use cases for body armor. Now, one thing to note here is that polyethylene plates or UHMWPE plates are made from the same material. Now, how they do this is they actually take thin sheets of this UHMWPE material, they put them in a press, and they press it under extreme heat and pressure, fuse them all together to make one solid piece of armor like this. The sheets used to make your solid armor are not the same sheet that is used for your soft armor. There are differences in that material. The way it's made, the resins used and things like that are different. So it's not necessarily the same material, but it is both made from UHMWPE. Now, how the soft armor is made, the makeup here is you take multiple layers. The amount of layers will entirely depend upon which material you're using. Obviously, like this one was 9 layers. This is rated to stop a 44 mag, whereas with your UD material, you're like 28 layers. It's much thinner material, different type of material. So the amount of layers and a combination of two, right? You can use combinations to make your materials. And so it's entirely going to depend on what materials are used for the number of layers. But you take your layers, whatever number it is, depending on your material, and then you sew them together, and you then sew it in a protective sleeve, basically. Now this material is waterproof. You don't want your Kevlars getting sunlight on them. Sunlight will degrade them, and water will degrade the performance of these materials. So you put them in a weather protective sleeve just for that reason. It's not really for ballistic capabilities, it's just to protect it from the elements. Now the other thing to consider here is that sew pattern on these can make a big difference. So if you just put these in a sleeve without sewing them, your performance is not going to be the same if you sew them together. Now, how you sew them together can vary depending on the materials used. You could go out and you could buy 10 different plates from 10 different companies. And I bet in each of them, you're going to find a different makeup of materials inside, and also the sew pattern on each one will probably vary. A lot of times you just see a stitch around the outside. You'll see some stitches across sometimes, or even diagonal. They make a grid pattern almost with their sewing. And really that just to add a little, more structural strength to it, make it a little more rigid, and can affect the performance. So it seems like something small, the sewing of it, but it does make a difference. Now in our soft armor panels, we use a hybrid approach. As we just kind of discussed the different properties of some of these materials, we use a combination of a few different materials in this panel. Really, we do that to maximize the performance. It allows us to make it as thin as possible, as lightweight as possible, and do so at a more affordable price. We use a combination of those materials in this panel to do that. Now, a lot of the pros, let's talk about some of the pros to soft armor. Really, the biggest things here are you have a panel that is super thin, it's very lightweight, this weighs just about a pound, and it's also flexible. This really allows it to be extremely comfortable. It allows you to maximize your movement because it is more flexible. It's not so rigid as compared to a hard armor plate. And also the last thing is it allows you to have this much more concealable. With that flexibility, it can conform to your body a little better. That allows it to fit much more comfortably. Also, it's lightweight and thin, so you can move better in it. And then also with those same things is it's easy to conceal because it fits tighter, fits better. It's much easier to conceal soft body armor. This is why you see law enforcement officers use soft body armor for their vests. They're wearing it for long hours during the day. They're getting in and out of vehicles. They need to be mobile. There's just really, it works perfect for their application. There are some other great applications for soft body armor. This body armor backpack panel is a great example of one. So this panel you slip in the back of your backpack, your laptop bag, whatever you carry with you on a daily basis. It's thin, 1/4 inch thick, weighs, just over a pound. It's flexible, and it's super easy to carry with you. You don't even know what's in there. And the great thing is it's super discreet and no one else knows it's in there either. Now, if an emergency arises, you have that with you. These are TSA approved, so don't have to worry about taking it out for airports or anything. You can just leave it in there at all times and have it for when you need it. Another great use case that we have is our concealable carrier with the soft armor panels. So 2 soft armor panels on a concealable carrier, and it's designed to be just that concealable. So you can wear it under your jackets, under a button-up shirts, the way it fits, it's really easy, makes it much easier to conceal that armor. as compared to, a full plate carrier with hard armor in it. The other nice thing too is that it's a thin profile, it's lightweight, so it's really easy to store and take with you. So you can, slide under the seat of your car, store it by your bed. It's really quick and easy to get on an emergency, and you have that level 3A protection. So that's another great use case for soft armor. It really just in general, soft armor is going to be your most convenient, your most comfortable, and easy to use and carry armor. Just the nature of it and the way it's made. Now the cons to soft armor, really the biggest one is that you can only get to level 3A rating, which means you are going to be able to stop handgun rounds up through 44 magnums, but you are not going to be able to stop rifle rounds with your soft armor. In order to stop rifle rounds, you need a hard armor panel. A soft armor, the materials are not strong enough to stop a rifle round. They're just going too fast and they punch right through it. So there are some level 3A hard armor options. They're thinner than this because they don't need as much stopping capability, but there is no soft armor that's level 3 or level 4. The other con to it is the lifespan. So most of these materials, most manufacturers, the warranty and lifespan of these materials is 5 years. So they do have a little shorter lifespan, and that can be one of the cons to soft armor. So anyway, in general, that's kind of a rundown on your soft armor. As I said, a lot of great use cases for it. It is, it's comfortable. It allows you to be mobile. It's concealable. A lot of people do bring up the fact that it can't stop rifle rounds and how they need something that stops rifle rounds, and that may be true. It depends on your scenario and your situation. But we do know that from FBI statistics that 90% of gun violence is committed with a handgun. So in most cases, soft armor is going to be sufficient for your needs. Now that may not always be the case, of course. We always say there's no perfect piece of body armor. The perfect piece of armor for you will entirely depend upon your scenario and your situation. That may be soft armor, that may be hard armor. It really, you just need to weigh your situation, decide what fits best for you. But if you have any questions, any comments about soft armor, or just really any armor, definitely reach out to us. We'll answer those questions, maybe make some more videos for you to help educate you and help you make the right decision on what armor works best for you. As always, check out our website, predatorarmor.com. We have hard armor, soft armor, and all the accessories and everything to go with it. And all of it's made 100% in the USA.